Thank you. Good afternoon and welcome to You Need to Know with Hussein and Nofila. My name is Hussein Berry and I'm here with my partner. We have an amazing hour here today. We're gonna be talking about buying a home, purchasing a home. Before we get to that, I want to thank our listeners out there in southeastern Michigan and our friends in Windsor across the bridge. Great feedback again. Give a shout out to Dawn Worth, good friend. She listened to the whole show last week and gave us some great feedback. And I've been running into a lot of people in the fella around town too, same thing. And we just heard from Rana too, telling us that there was some good feedback. So again, always thank CNR Radio for giving us this opportunity to get the information out. Yeah, yeah. Let's do this a little differently this week, Nofila. Why don't we just have a discussion about purchasing a home instead of just putting information out there and we sound like attorneys. Nothing against attorneys. We love attorneys, especially in the real estate business. Attorneys are our friends. So let's just have fun, get into a discussion. Uh, Just for the record, if you know me, you know I love questions. So you're gonna get a story back, but welcome to questions. Yeah, and today's program is sponsored by Village Ford, Ali Berry. Mr. Berry, thank you for sponsoring today's show. You can reach out to Ali Berry at Village Ford at 313-727-1093. 313-727-1093. Let's get to it, Nofaila. Okay. Well, actually, you are a home buyer right now, but go ahead. Yes. Yes. First of all, you expect great representation. But before you even get to the realtor, you need to do a little bit of homework. You need to prepare yourself to buy in a home, meaning that need to prepare your finances. Unless you have a good amount of money sitting in a bank someplace and you're going to pay cash for the house, you need to reach out to a mortgage company. Now, you can actually ask your agent that was referred to you by your family or your friends, and hopefully that agent goes by the name of Hussein Berry at Nova Realty, right? Or Nafaila Haidar at Nova Realty. But yeah, reach out to a mortgage company. There's plenty of them out there right now, and they all do a great job. Not everybody can walk into a bank or a credit union and get a mortgage. So you probably need a little bit more attention.
Okay.
Mortgage companies are great help.
Okay. So I'm just gonna translate a little bit
Yes,
just
please
so
do.
um so لنقول بدنا نشتري بيت وجينا لعند نوفر ريلتي وقلنا له رح نشتري بيت، شو هي أول خطوة اللي بناخدها؟ الأول خطوة إنه نجهز المصاري، كيف رح نشتري بيت right؟ ما حدا بفوت على المحل من غير ما يكون معه الwallet والcredit cards والdebit cards. So الreal estate agent اللي بنروح لعنده ممكن يكون يعرف mortgage company يحوّلنا لعندُن أو أكتر من mortgage company لإنه حقنا as a buyer نختار مين اللي بدنا نشتغل معه. So real estate agent أو real estate company ممكن يعطوكم 3 أو 4 شرك mortgage companies وأنتم بتختاروا you go shopping مين رح يعطيكم best interest rate مين رح يعطيكم best terms وبنختار. Okay, so we're done with the mortgage process. They referred to us to a mortgage company, and I got my pre-approval. I have my savings in the bank, seasoned money, right?
Yes.
We have to
Yes.
have our money in the bank for a few months prior to trying to buy a house. Um,
Let me interrupt for a
Go ahead.
second, Nofela, because as realtors in the business, we kind of throw out terms out there that probably not everybody Not everybody knows what that means. Seasoned money in the bank means that when you decide to wait, decide to go purchase a home, you just can't go into your safe and get your $20,000
No,
cash and go put it in the bank. Big no no,
of
big no
course.
no. So always talk to your loan officer uh, in that department. Season money means money's been sitting in your account, in your savings or your checking or your CDs, been sitting there for 30, 60 days, 90 days. Especially in these days right now, everybody's getting paid where it's automatic deposit. If you can show that your money's coming from where you work, going into your bank account, that's very, very important. We see it all the time where somebody's going to write me a earnest money deposit. We'll get to that in a minute, and I ask them for a $3,000 earnest money deposit. They write me a check, and we're good. Then they take the $3,000 cash and they go put it in the bank, and 2 weeks later it blows up the deal and they lose the house of their dreams. So I just want to interrupt and explain that.
Yes, that was
Continue,
our
please.
season money. So okay, I got my money together. Now I need to start shopping.
Yes,
Where do I go from there? Am I shopping for a house every single day with my agent? Am I walking into open houses? What are the pros and cons of me walking into an open house by myself versus a private showing with my realtor?
that was a multiple question there,
I'm
multiple
sorry.
questions there, but that's
Go
fine.
for
No,
it.
that's great. No, let's start with the open houses. If you walk into an open house, uh, be very upfront with the other agent. Don't waste their time. Let them know that you have a buyer's agent. And
Okay.
we'll get to what that means in a second. You are working with an agent, so they kind of say, "Oh, okay. Let me know if you have any questions," and they might ask you who's your agent, and you might want to tell them because most agents, especially in our market area, and I'm sure it's the same thing in Windsor, co-op with each other, work with each other, so we know each other. So,
Yeah.
uh, compared going back to if you're going to look at houses every day, there's not
Yeah.
a lot of houses these days to look at, but most likely what I would do is set you up
Okay.
where you're getting updates.
Okay.
Once you kind of narrow down where you want a house, let's back up a little bit here. Before you kind of narrow it down where you want a house, you probably want to look at the schools.
Okay.
The other part of our show is talking about the schools. You're probably concerned, you want to see what the district looks like. Even within a city itself, somebody who's moving around in Dearborn probably prefer one middle school over the other. You probably want to talk to your realtor, talk to the administration at the school district, and find out what is the district look like? What is the zone? Then you need to ask yourself too, how many bedrooms do I need?
Right.
You know, People says, oh, as long as there's two. No, 2 bedrooms is not going to be enough for you and your 2 kids or 3 kids. So you need to figure
Right.
that out.
Right.
That's probably that. A lot of those questions will get answered with the sit down with the buyer's consultation with the realtor. So
So we have to be realistic. We can't buy a house that we're going to grow out of very soon,
yes,
especially if we have a family. Okay.
yes.
So let's say that I, as a buyer, I was driving down the street and I saw a house listed for sale by owner. What do I do there?
That's a good question. For sale by owner, for people that are not aware what that means I want to sell my house, and for whatever reason, maybe I don't have enough equity to pay a commission, or I just don't like working with realtors. Whatever the reason that there's a for sale, I don't know why anybody would like to work with realtors. We're very good people, aren't we?
Oh, we're great
Okay, I
people.
just wanted to make
Yeah,
sure
we're
that that's
family
it.
people.
Yeah. So I decide to sell my house on my own. Maybe I know a title company or a lawyer that's going to help me with the paperwork. But you, as a buyer, probably need to reach out to your agent and let them know. I just drove by 7600 Kendall Street, and it's listed. It's on the market by owner. What does that mean? As a realtor, I have access to a lot of information. I can pull out a lot of history, public
Yes.
records. I can help with that process. Even though maybe the owner doesn't want to pay me a commission, there's a lot of things I can do to
Yeah.
help you out.
Can you find out the value of this home for me even though it's not on the market?
Yes, thank you for pointing that out. Yes, I'll do a market analysis. I would have access to a lot of information to know the house, or if it was sold within the next last 10, 15 years, I would know how many bedrooms, the square
Okay.
footage. I can come up with a very good comparable price for you.
Yeah.
The other thing is right now it's probably a good time to talk about the exclusive buyers agency. What are
Okay.
your thoughts on that?
Before we do that, let's jump into a quick break.
Okay.
Open your Facebook. We're not on Facebook.
Take, thank Ali Berry of Village Ford for sponsoring today's show, 313-727-1093. But further, let's get back to talking about the exclusive
Yeah.
buyer's contract.
So this is a completely new. Well, it's not new, but it now it has to be implemented on a legally,
You know
right?
what? I don't want to get into the history of it,
Yeah.
but I can kind of like just summarize it. There was a lawsuit that happened. A whole bunch of money was paid out. The judge said that if you're working for a buyer, the buyer needs to pay you your commission.
Yeah.
That's what they said. But I can tell you, as a veteran agent, I have yet to see a buyer bring money to pay my commission. We've been working out some deals with the seller. I don't want to break down the law right now, but what it is it's a law that before I can start showing you houses,
Okay.
and you need to sign a contract with me acknowledging it's an agreement what you're going to compensate me for finding your house.
True.
People say, what is the normal charge? There is no normal charge. It's whatever I decide to charge and if you're okay with it.
Okay.
But in that contract, it would also say that if I can get the seller to pay that commission, then you're off the hook.
Correct.
The reason I wanted to connect that to for sale by owners, when I walk into a for sale by owner and let them know that my buyer will be paying me my commission, that's been a game changer, to be honest with you, that department.
Right.
Although to my colleagues, I'm giving you a little hint on what I've been doing. So good luck with that one.
Okay. So I wanted to just translate a little bit
Yeah, of
because
course,
this is
please.
very
Yes,
important.
please.
Um, for our buyers that are out there, للي عم يشتري وعم بيخاف إنه يمضي الورقة اللي بتقول exclusive buyer agency. أول شي هيدي مش ورقة لازم نخاف منها، ورقة ضروري نعملها بالقانون هلأ، يعني أنا as an agent أو حسين as an agent ما فينا نفرجيكم بيت إلا لمّا تكونوا ماضيين هالورقة، ولازم تكون موجودة معنا بالoffice، ولازم تنمضى قبل ما نفوت على أي بيت. هالورقة بتعني إنه أنتم الexclusive، أنتم الbuyer الحصري، الزبون الحصري لهيدا الagent وهو الagent الحصري لإلكم. رح تشتغلوا مع بعض as a buyer and as an agent. في ناس بتخاف من قصة إنه as a buyer صار القانون إنه لازم نحن ندفع لكم الcommission. Yes مضبوط، but فيكم كمان إذا البايع عم يعرض إنه هو يدفع الcommission، الbuyer ما عليه حق إنه يدفع الcommission، إنه ما عليه ضرورة إنه يدفع الcommission. So on that topic, as an exclusive buyer's agent, tell us a little bit more about that.
You did a good job talking about it. It's just a contract that you have to sign. Like when I go to set a showing, the the MLS, the multiplicity system, is going to ask me, did you have your buyer sign a buyer's agent,
Yes.
buyer's exclusive buyer's agency? And I have to say yes, then I can set it up. Other than that, those I don't want to go too deep into it because it's going to complicate things.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. So as a for sale by owner, you
Yes.
can still represent a buyer through
Of
the exclusive
course.
buyer's
Of course.
agency.
Of course.
So okay, we move on from there. Let's say I'm a buyer, you're my agent, we found the house.
Yes.
What's next? What are you gonna do for
How
me to get this
exciting.
house?
Yes. Yes. What I would do is run a market analysis, come up with a fair price, and I would consult you on what you should be paying for this house. And if we already built the trust, especially if this is not the first house I'm selling you, you trust me. I come up with a price. This house is on the market right now is worth $260,000. You
Okay.
might be willing to pay a little bit more, but I'm telling you my professional opinion
Or as
with
a
this,
buyer, a conservative buyer, I might want to say I want to pay less. I want to pay 230.
which
What do
is
you what do
okay,
you do
which
for
is
me
okay.
there?
By law, and the seller and the seller's agent will understand that by law, I have to present all offers.
Right.
So if my buyer wants to offer 230, I would write up the offer and present it to the seller, and the seller has the option to either reject that offer, work with us, negotiate, or just accept the offer. Most likely, that low of an offer is probably not going to get accepted by the
But I
seller.
really want the house. What are you going to do for me? I
Well,
want
then,
the
then,
house at
then you have
230.
to then you have to trust my
Okay.
professional opinion that
Okay.
you're not going to get it for 230, A, and B, you have to trust that I know exactly what that price is going to sell, that house is
Are
going to
you
sell
gonna
for.
do a market analysis for me to
Oh,
show
I will
me?
show you comps. I'll show you
Okay.
houses that sold around the corner, similar houses, uh, similar square footage,
Okay.
similar layouts. Yeah, different layouts have different prices. Like a ranch in Dearborn, that's a hot commodity. They're not
So
enough.
a good agent is what you're telling me. A good agent will educate their buyer on the market.
100%. And
Okay.
it starts with initial consultant
Okay.
meeting.
So we bought this house. I'm terrified. I don't know what's in this house. I don't know the first thing about houses. You know a little bit because you can see what you can see. Are you going to encourage me or discourage me from a private inspection?
Always encourage you to get a private inspection.
Okay.
Private inspection is an inspection that's being done by a private inspector, just like it says. It's an inspector that the buyer hires and pays for,
Mm-hmm.
and probably spend 2 to 3 hours with the buyer. It's a very nice education, especially if it's a first-time home buyer, Nofila. They, there'll be a lot of they'll learn so much about housing and the mechanical and electrical, and, the water, the sewer.
But what
Uh,
if the city's already doing an inspection? Why should I pay for this private inspection?
the city inspection, not all cities have city inspections, but the
Right.
ones that do, it's just an inspector that's going to do a visual.
Okay.
It's going to walk through the house and take a look, make sure there's no safety items, there's no trip hazard outside with the cement. There's no loose wires hanging out. All
Right.
the plugs are covered. That's all they're going to do. Private inspector actually opens up your furnace and looks inside.
Okay.
Actually, sometimes if you ask them to, they'll look down the drain,
Mm-hmm.
look under the sink.
Yeah. So this is an expensive report, the private inspection report. It's depending on the size of the house, between $400 and $1,000 sometimes,
Yes.
right? What can I use this report for after closing?
You know what? I always tell my buyers that private inspection is good for three things. It's good to learn what needs to be done
Hmm.
the first year of owning the property,
Right.
maybe a long-term plan, 2 to 5, 2 to 7 years, and obviously the most important, which usually doesn't happen,
Yeah.
if there's something you find that you need to walk away from this
Right.
house.
Right.
Sometimes there's a foundation crack, or
Yeah.
maybe there's a hole in the roof that you can't see under the shingles, but there's water stains, and you can walk away. Let me share a story with you, Nafila. You
Okay.
know me; I love
We
my
love the
stories.
stories.
Yeah. So probably about 7, 8 years ago, it was a first time buyer, husband and wife, young couple, and the gentleman was like, you know, I'm not getting this. I have to spend about $400, and there's a good chance that I have to walk away from this house and wasted $400. I started laughing, and the wife looked at me. I think she understood what was coming. That's the best spent $400
Yeah.
you ever spent in your life. That's not an expense. That's an investment. That's an
Right.
investment to protect you from headaches in
Absolutely.
the future. there's something wrong with the house that you have to walk away. You want to know now, today, not a
Yeah.
year from now or 6 months from now. I've had people where they buy a house, they move in, and maybe like 3 weeks later, they find out that they bought a house with an indoor pool in the basement
Yeah.
because somebody didn't do a private inspection and
Right.
noticed
Right.
that there was a crack in the foundation or other things that
So
was
let me
happening.
translate real quick because
Please
this is
do,
this
yes,
is
repeat.
important. اللي عم يشتري بيت قبل ما يشتري البيت لازم يعمل inspection. في ناس كتير بتقول ما البلدية عم تعمل inspection واي ليش بدي أصرف هال 400. هي الانسبكشن بتكون between حسب حجم البيت بين ال $400 وال $1000. هيدا الريبورت اللي بتاخدوه تقريبا بيطلع شي 70 صفحة حسب الانسبكتور قديش هو detailed. ممكن يكون 100 صفحة. هذا الريبورت عم تعرفوا فيه كل قرنة بالبيت، كل مطرح بالبيت، كل شريط، كل ماسورة مي، المجاري تبعت البيت إذا اخترتوا إنه تعملوا سكوب للمجاري، هي كاميرا بينزلوها بالمجاري لحتى يشوفوا، تعرفوا كل شي عن بيتكم. حتى لو طلع الريبورت في 70 صفحة من الشكاوي فيكم تكملوا تشتروا البيت but at least عارفين حالكم إنه عشو فايتين، مش رح يطلع لكم مفاجآت بعدين. فalways إذا الoption موجود، إذا الخيار موجود always ادفعوا هالمصاري الزيادة وخدوا الريبورت لحتى تعرفوا حالكم شو عم تشتروا. Okay, so we're moving on from private inspections.
Just 1 second, if I
تفضل.
let me. Yeah, I just got a text message from a friend. I guess they're a little shy calling in. If you want to call into the studio, the phone number is 313-769-6666. And I know there's a lot of buyers out there listening. And I know you probably have a realtor that you're working with, a professional. I truly respect that. But if you have a question, do not hesitate to call us. 313-769 6666. The other thing is that if you have a question that you don't want to ask on the air, I welcome a text
Yeah.
message. I welcome a phone call, obviously after the show. My phone number is 313-580-8007. And Nofila's phone number is 313-443-7443. And again, I want to take this opportunity to thank Ali Berry at Village Ford. If you need a Ford, a car, the hottest thing right now in Dearborn is
The
what is that?
Mustang Mach-E. Which one?
What is that your sister just bought?
Oh, the Bronco.
The Bronco, man, some beautiful, vibrant colors out there. I'm seeing them; they're
The
amazing.
Mustangs are nice
I'm just
too.
not ready to go down from my Explorer to a Bronco, but maybe soon. Call Ali Berry at 313-727-1093. And you know what? In the Windsor area, the law is a little bit different, and the city ordinance is a little bit different. We do have a very professional agent that we're working with. Her name is Kate Saleh. She's with Manor Realty, and her phone number is 519-890-9026. Let me repeat that, 519-890-9026. If you have any questions regarding the
Mhm.
housing market or if you're looking to sell your house in Windsor, make sure you call Kate. She's a professional, veteran
Okay.
professional.
Great.
Let's continue to
All
find
right.
out.
So moving forward, we're past the private inspection. One of the things that I would have to do as a buyer is put in an earnest money deposit
Yes,
so I can move forward with the transaction, right?
yes.
So the seller can feel good about moving forward with me. What happens to my deposit if I find something wrong during the inspection and I don't
Yes,
want the house anymore?
very good question. The earnest money deposit actually goes in usually with the offer, or maybe with a day or two after the offer is
Right,
accepted by
within
the
the first
seller.
2 days.
So the
Yeah.
EMD is already in escrow. EMD is the earnest money deposit. If you do a private inspection and most purchase agreement these days gives you the opportunity to say, I'm walking away. I'm not happy with my inspection. I don't have to explain. I can walk away. You are entitled. You are entitled to getting your earnest money
Okay.
deposit back.
So الديبوزيت بترجع للمشتري إذا طلع في غلط بالprivate inspection، غلط كبير that the buyer ما عاد بده يكمل. Right?
Exactly.
Okay. طيب شو بيصير if إذا وصلنا لآخر الtransaction كل شي مزبوط الseller عمل كل شي اللي عليه وقلت خلص ما عادش بدي. Let me translate that. If I get through the whole transaction, I am clear to close, everything's all done, the seller did their due diligence, my buyer's agent did their due diligence, my title company, my mortgage company, everyone did their part, and I said, I'm getting cold feet, I don't want the house anymore.
Which doesn't happen often, but it does happen.
Okay.
So what I'm hearing you say, Nufela, is if all contingencies are met,
Yeah.
all contingencies in a contract, You're past a private inspection, appraisal, the house appraised for the sales value. The mortgage company guy gave you a clear to close, so you're ready to close, and day before closing, you decide for whatever reason you want to walk away. Yes, you do lose your earnest money deposit.
Okay.
And you know what? Actually, it's in most contracts that the seller can sue you for specific performance. In 35 years in the business, I've never seen that happen.
Mhm.
What that means is the seller can actually take you to court
Right.
and force you to buy the property.
Okay. But I want my deposit back. I don't want the house anymore. And I didn't do anything to hurt the seller. Why should they get my deposit?
What do you mean by you didn't do anything to hurt the
Well,
seller?
as a buyer, I don't feel like I did anything wrong. I feel like I want my deposit back.
So I sold you my house. We're
Yeah.
under contract. I continue to make my mortgage payment. I'm
Okay.
making my tax payment,
Yeah.
my insurance.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's usually a daily cost of owning
Okay.
a property.
Yeah.
It is maintenance. Maybe my house is vacant.
Okay.
Uh, no, you just cost me a lot of money by taking my house off the market, and most likely I missed out on any other potential buyers.
Okay.
So that earnest money deposit is the least thing that the seller is
Man,
entitled
I'm
to.
a tough buyer.
What's that?
I'm a tough buyer. I'm really I'm really taking you to the cleaners, huh? Okay. So moving forward from earnest money deposits, we're going to go into the next stage of the purchase. But before that, we're going to go into a quick break.
Sounds good. See you after. Welcome back after a long pause.
That was a nice pause.
Yeah, I think we have a caller. Hi, how are you? Doing great. Thank you for calling. You have a question for us?
Yeah,
That's a good
that's a
question.
great question.
A great question, which happens a lot. It just depends on what does that mean. Where did the water come from? Did it come from the foundation, or was it a backup from the sewer?
Let's repeat that question. No, no, we're gonna repeat the
No.
question for our YouTube listeners.
Yeah, go ahead. Repeat the question.
So the question is: a buyer had an inspection, and then a few months after closing, there was a, a water issue in the basement and a structural issue. What is their recourse afterwards?
Jenna, I'm still trying to find out. You said you had water in the basement. Did it come up from the sewer, or was it obviously leaking through the foundation, like through a wall? Or... Okay. Did you have a scope of the sewer as part of your private inspection, where they actually took a camera and followed your sewer all the way out to the sea?
Okay.
Okay, so without actually looking at the report itself, it's kind of difficult for me to advise you, but it sounds like maybe something that maybe the sellers probably didn't know anything about it if they didn't disclose it. Maybe it's something that happened afterwards. If there's proof that you know the sellers should have known about it, then you probably need to call a lawyer. I won't cross any lines there. Probably a good time to cross. If there's proof, and if a good inspector would probably be able to advise you on that.
Yeah, but before you do any of that, go back and look at your private inspection report. Read through all of the sewer portion of the inspection report just to make sure that you didn't miss anything when you received the report. And if the inspector missed something, you go back to the inspector. If it was something known by the seller, like Hassan said, you would, you know, go back to an attorney.
I think I heard your name is Jenna.
Donna.
Donna. Donna, do you have trees in your backyard? You do not. Okay, so that's okay. That's a. I love trees, but that's probably a good thing. What I'm trying to
Yeah.
get at, was it a root problem that's causing that? Yeah, without looking at the report itself, you're
Yeah.
welcome to contact that afterwards. If you have a realtor that you're working with, probably reach out to him or her. But very good question, and I mean,
Thank
this is
you.
right
Yeah.
on topic too. So
Yeah.
appreciate the call. Did we sort of kind of answer your question? Okay.
Thanks
Okay,
for
have a
calling
great
in.
day and thank you for calling. And while we're on break, I did get a text message, and the message, somebody had a question. They didn't want to call in. If you want to call in, the phone number is 313-769-6666. That's live in the studio. And the question was that the buyer wanted to know if after the private inspection, when should they expect to close? That's a very good question.
Yeah.
It could be as quick as 10 days, sometimes depending on your financing, on your mortgage, an FHA compared to conventional. And this, don't get thrown off by FHA versus conventional versus VA versus some other things. We're going to have a whole session on
Yeah.
different financing. But if it's a straight conventional mortgage, you had your private inspection, all your paperwork is in, you should be able ready to close in about 10 days. If it's an FHA transaction, it might take a little longer. It might be another like 22 days or so. I hope I answered your question. And if I didn't, you're welcome to send me another text and we can clarify it. But, yeah, Call us at 313-769-6666 or call our cell phones at Hussein 313-580-8007. Nufaila's 313-443-7443. And again, thank you to Ali Berry, Village Ford, for sponsoring today's show. This phone number is 313-727-1093. We're getting short on time, Nufaila. Let's get back
Okay.
to it.
Yeah, let's get back on track. And by the way, this is a how to buy a home episode. We will have how to sell your home episode. So let's say, okay, I'm back to being the buyer.
Yes.
We're past the EMD. We did my appraisal. My appraisal came in at value. What happens if my appraisal did not come in at value? So let me ask the question in Arabic. Um, البنك بعت الابريزر ليشوفوا البيت إذا بيسوى إنه قد ما دفعت، وطلع الappraisal أقل من ما دفعت، شو بيصير؟
Okay, so that's a very good question. Why do we do an appraisal?
Yeah.
Uh, we're buying a house down the street for $350,000. Somebody maybe in a different state, a company, financer is going to be financing this house, and they have no clue. Maybe it's in, let's say it's in Dearborn. They have no clue where Dearborn's at. So they trust a professional, licensed appraiser to do a market analysis, an opinion, actually appraise the house. They come out, measure the house, make sure everything is exactly what it is in the MLS, the multiple listing system, and that house that you paid for is
Yeah.
$350,000 does not appraise. It comes in at 340.
Right.
And
What
that's
do
a
I do?
problem. That's a problem. We have some options here. It just depends on how the market is. If the market is leaning towards a seller's market, you're probably going to have to pay the difference, Nufaila. What that means is you're financing 80% of your sales value, the appraised value at 340.
Okay.
And on top of your down payment, you're going to have to come up with another $10,000 to make up the difference.
What if I only have 5?
Well, at that point, you probably let your agent know. And what happens is between the buyer's agent and the seller's agent, they open up negotiation.
Mm-hmm.
You always hear split the watermelon in half.
Right.
What happens is, if the seller's okay with it, you lower the price to 345 and you
Okay.
move forward.
So we can meet in the middle.
You can be in the middle. Or
Okay.
you as a buyer, if the house is not appraised and the seller's not willing to budge,
I can go look for another house.
you can walk away, get your deposit back,
Yeah.
and go look for another house.
Okay. So my deposit is protected in this case.
If the house is not appraised, yes, it's in
Okay.
the contract.
Okay. All
Speaking
right.
of contracts, please read your
read
purchase
everything.
agreement. Read
Right.
your contracts.
Okay. Let me translate that real quick.
Yes, please.
So in appraisals لنقول إجا التقييم أقل من سعر البيت ب10,000. الباير عنده 3 خيارات. في يقول أوكي ما عندي مصاري خلص ما عادش بدي البيت. بياخد الديبوزيت اللي له وبيمشي بيشوف بيت تاني. الأوبشن التاني إنه ممكن الباير يكون عنده شوية مصاري زيادة ويقول أوكي كتير حبيت البيت وبدي أدفع الفرق وآخد هالبيت. أو الأوبشن التالت إنه الباير ما عنده المصاري الكافية لحتى يغطي هال10,000 اللي إجت أقل. ممكن السالري يقول أوكي بننزل السعر 5,000 وأنت بتجيب 5,000 بنلتقى بالنص وبنسكر الديل which is a happy ending. أوكي خلصنا من الappraisal. I have a clear to close. Clear to close يعني خلصنا كل شيء علينا من المورجج من الappraisal من private inspection وجاهزين لنسكر الديل. What are my next steps after clear to close?
Next steps, hopefully that you already secured a home insurance policy
Okay.
too. I mean, people forget about that. That should be done early on. Maybe call up your insurance agent. Maybe you have a relationship with that agent because you have auto. And I know if you have auto and you get home insurance with them, they bundle up and you get a little discount, right?
Right.
So you want to make sure that you have a homeowner's insurance policy there. And what happens there is your agent and the seller's agent and the title company or companies will come up with a date that all parties can come in instead of closing.
Okay.
And hopefully a couple of days before that, you get your documents to review.
Okay. So we closed. خلصنا. We came to closing. I sent my money. We read all of the closing documents. We signed. We wired. I just take my keys and go home, or is there anything else I can do? I need to do afterwards?
That's a good question too. It depends. Is the seller staying in the property? What's called occupancy after closing.
Yeah, we gave
Let's
him 15
say
days.
you gave 15 days, so you don't get the keys that day, right?
Okay.
So you close, you pay the seller, and now the seller becomes a tenant in their own home.
Right.
And most likely you're entitled to a per diem, a daily amount, for every day that the seller stays there. Example, you might charge the seller $100 a day for every day they stay there. But let's say it's the contract says keys at closing. Yes, you get the keys. How exciting! You go to the house, you take a look, everything's
Right.
great. There are still a couple things that you have to do.
Okay.
At that point, you probably want to secure the utilities in your name,
Okay.
right? And there are some forms. I know Nofila is a professional on these forms. There are some forms that you have to go and file with the city or the township that you're in. You want to go over those forms,
I
Nofila?
would love to. So you have two forms: the homestead exemption form and the property transfer affidavit form. The property transfer affidavit form is what transfers the house to your name at City Hall so that the new tax bill will reflect your name. You have 45 days to turn that in. If you don't turn it in within the 45 days, the city starts to assess a fee to you. And the next time you actually go into City Hall and try to register this form, you will be charged that fee. So to save yourself some money and to guarantee that you're legal at City Hall, you have to submit this paperwork within 45 days. The homestead exemption you can submit whenever, but it would be best to submit it at the same time as the property transfer affidavit.
Sure,
Now,
sure.
why do we want our house to be registered as a homestead?
So you're telling the city and the state that this is your primary residence.
Okay.
Um, with a primary residence comes a little tax break. You
Yeah.
pay 30% less of your school taxes compared to non-owner occupied property. If somebody buys a house for a business to rent it out, they pay a little extra taxes. So it's very,
Okay.
very important you file that. It
Okay.
also the affidavit changes the water bill
Yeah.
into your name, the taxes into your name. That helps out tremendously.
Okay, so you're telling me that after closing, I still have a lot of homework to do, right?
Well, it's supposed to be fun. It's
Well,
not
yes,
homework.
but
It's
some of
homework is
it,
not fun. So it's
um,
supposed to be fun.
some of it is important. Well, a lot of it is important, right?
Sure, sure.
But the homestead exemption form and the property transfer affidavit, I know that you like to take those to City Hall for your buyers yourself.
Well, yeah. I mean, because I know what most people do. They say, okay, I'll take them tomorrow, and tomorrow never comes, or they forget, or
Yeah,
they throw them in the folder. And when it comes to go filing their taxes, like, oh, I forgot to file these.
yeah.
Meanwhile,
Yeah.
they got hit with a couple $100 fees. So
When those two items are filed at City Hall, I always advise buyers save those two documents with the stamp for 1 year.
yeah, oh
Just
yeah,
in
oh
case,
yeah.
they don't get filed appropriately at City Hall, and then you get hit with a non-homestead exemption, or you get hit with extra taxes. At least you have proof that you filed them, and the city will correct that for you. So we did our final walkthrough before closing. We went to closing. We closed. Who's going to order a final water bill?
Usually the title company representing the seller holds back probably $300 to $500 in escrow,
Hmm.
and the seller's agent or the seller can call the city and order a final water bill. That
Yes.
means the city will come out for a fee, usually
Right.
about $25
Yeah.
to $35, depending on the city. We'll get a final water reading and send that bill to the title company, and the title company will pay that bill out of the escrowed money, and the
Right.
remainder will get returned to the seller. That means you, as a buyer, you're starting out fresh.
Yeah.
You're, very first day you're there, you're paying for the water. You're not paying for a
And
previous
now you're
water usage.
responsible for taxes and you're responsible for utilities.
Sure.
So call whoever your gas and electric provider is and get that into your name before the seller shuts that off. And then
Rafaela, I'm seeing a little stress on your face. This is supposed to be fun.
this
This
is a
is
lot of
fun.
fun. This is
It
a
is.
lot of
It
fun.
is. This is very
But
exciting.
these
We
are
always refer
important.
to it as the American dream.
Yes.
It is the greatest opportunity in this country that we live in is owning a piece of land, owning a property,
Yeah.
owning your home. The greatest way to build wealth. You can read all the successful people's biographies, their books. The greatest avenue, the greatest route to wealth, especially generational wealth, a little tongue twister there. Generational wealth is through owning real
Yeah.
estate. Yes, you can pay rent and it makes it easy and you don't have to go through this whole process. You just pay one check at the end of the month. But guess what? You're paying somebody else's mortgage. You're building somebody else's portfolio. The greatest, the best thing about this is you own your own property. You get
Yeah,
to control. You have rights over that property.
exactly.
So have fun doing this, Nufaila.
All
Don't be
right, I'll
stressing.
try. Okay. So what we learned today is that a purchase transaction involves a lot of people.
Yes.
You know, it involves a buyer, a buyer's agent, a
Yes.
lender, a private inspector, an
Sure.
appraiser, a seller, a seller's agent, a title company, city hall, and the county because the title company will eventually
Sure.
record with the county.
Sure.
So don't try to maneuver this on your own. Call a professional.
And the professional is Nufaila Haidar, Nova Realty, 313-443-7443. She set me up for that
I
one.
did, didn't I? That was good. It was a good transition. And the last and final thing you should be doing as a buyer is after closing, set up your auto pay with your mortgage company
Great
so
idea.
that your mortgage
Great
payment
idea.
is made on time. And your escrow, your taxes and your insurance should be in escrow. That just makes things a little bit easier for you. You can choose not to do that, but it just makes things a little easier for you. Any last minute advice that we can give to
You
buyers?
know, the best advice, buyers, sellers, everybody involved in transaction, it's actually in my contract, in most contracts, contact the lawyer. If you have any questions,
Yeah.
if there's something in the contract that you don't understand, reach out to a lawyer. There's a lot of good lawyers in the area. Have them explain it to you. That's my disclosure there. But you know
Yeah.
what? Yeah, this could be exciting. It could be a first house that you're buying. You could be, downsizing. You could be getting a bigger home because your family's growing. You want to move to the other side of town because you want your children to go to this school or that school. That's
Yeah.
supposed to be exciting. Don't let that stress out. But like Nofaila said, obviously we're a little biased, but you do want to work with a professional.
Yeah.
A few months ago, I kept on hearing the term that this is a crazy market. This is a crazy market. My answer was that no, it's not a crazy market. It's a very complex market, and a good professional, a veteran professional, can help you out go through that. So
Yeah. Yeah.
I had a lot of fun today.
So did
Again,
I.
thank you to Cena Radio for providing this avenue for us to get this information out. Thank you to Ali Berry for sponsoring uh, today's hour here. Kate Sala, don't hesitate to call her in Windsor, 519-890-9026. Any final words, Nufaila?
I want to thank Naveen. She's our YouTube director. She's behind the scenes, behind the camera, but she's doing amazing work for us. Thank you, Naveen. Um, and I think next week we'll be talking about what? You tell us.
We said, you know what, we have to confirm, but we want to talk about this, the great special ed program in Dearborn and
Mm-hmm.
the surrounding
Yeah.
area. And if we get the right person, like I said, we didn't get it confirmed. If we get the right person, we're going to get into talking about mental health too, and
Okay.
post COVID.
And moving forward with real estate episodes, we'll be talking more about sellers. We'll be talking about the different types of moves. It all and during all walks of life, everyone wants to move at some point in their life, right? Thank you all for listening, and we'll
Yes.
see you next Friday.
Wishing everybody a great weekend. That's a wrap.